Thank you, Matt. It's a great pleasure for me. The two gentlemen I am about to induct is a story of accomplishment and friendship. Vic Bombaci and Bob Vitari, part of the V8 racing team, along with Wild Bill Slater. Bob and Vic grew up near each other in Essex, Connecticut. Both of their dads were farmers. They came from humble backgrounds. In their youth, they decided to go racing. They built a car, had a few drivers, with some success, but not that much success. In 1958, they put Bill Slater in the car for a few races. In 1959, Bill had the ride full-time at New London Waterford Speedbowl. The car at the end of the year had all kinds of feature win stickers attached to it. They won the track championship. In the winter of 1959, they asked Bill, look, Bill, we're building another car. You can have a choice of cars. You can either go to Waterford or we're going to go up to Norwood, which had just gone NASCAR. Bill chose the Norwood Arena venue, and the rest is history. In that year of 1960, Don Collins ran one of the cars at Waterford. Bill ran the other modified at Norwood. Two racetracks, 100 miles apart, two different venues, two drivers, two cars. Bill and Bob would swap, venues. One would go to Waterford, the other would go to Norwood, and then they'd switch. Well, consider this. Both cars won track championships. That is an accomplishment. Also in 1960, a little before the Eastern Bandits, that Denny Zimmerman and Rini Charlander here, along with Ernie Gahan, modified race at Trenton, New Jersey mile track. This was the first time that a New England modified car won a major event. It was a harbinger of things to come. The V8 racing team started to make their mark. In the 60s, they won 5 track championships at Norwood, 1 at Thompson. They were one of the cars to beat. The Trenton race is very significant. They also won extra distance races at Malta, Utica Rome, and Oxford Plains. They also competed in the Permatex race down at Daytona and gave an excellent accounting of themselves. The highlight of their racing had to come in 1965, in what is considered by many, including yours truly, as the holy grail of automobile racing, the Langhorne Classic. This was the best of the best. If you thought you were good, you went to Langhorne. And if you qualified for the Classic, that made a year. There were many top drivers from all over the East Coast who would show up and never had a prayer of making the race. Well, in 1965, Bill Slater, along with Vic and Bob, scored that win. It was a major milestone. It was even covered in the Boston area newspapers, which hardly covered any automobile racing at the time. It proved that they had arrived and they were that good. Bob Vitari and Vic Bombaci were owners who got their hands dirty. They designed and built the cars in small garages alongside their home. Bill, after he finished work at Pratt & Whitney, would chase parts. Basically, Bob did the chassis and Vic did the motors. And it is with great pleasure, but before I ask them to come up, I have to tell a personal story. I started getting involved in racing about, 1960, 61. Started hanging out with all those guys up in Gasoline Alley in Needham, Greggy Mills, Jack Malone, Bobby Melnick, Pete Hamilton, Donnie McTavish. And one night in 1964, the V8, those guys came to win. They never thrashed the car at the track. They came prepared. Well, one June night, Bill Slater starts 16th. Hop Harrington's in the field, Leo Clary, a whole bunch of inductees in our near Hall of Fame. Bill starts 16th. But by the 10th lap, he's long gone. I mean, he blew by Flemke and Leo and Hop. It was like, see you later. Well, some of the boys in Gasoline Alley were a little upset. So they figured, we're going to protest this guy. Earl Wild, one of their crewmen, came over to me and said, Bruce, this is the smallest motor in the joint. I think we were allowed in the sportsman division at the time about 358 cubic inches. Earl said, it's about a 305, 306. I said, look, Earl, don't kid me. I've been around this thing 4 years. There's no way that's that small. Well, to make a long story short, Greggy Mills and the Needham boys protested the car. They tore it down, and sure enough, it was a 305. What they didn't know was that Greg Mills in the Jack Malone Griffin 79, which finished second, had a stroker of about 380 inches under the hood, which was a lesson to me that everything is not as it seems. But I would like to call up Bill Slater too, along with Vic and Bob, the V8 racing team. They set the bar. They were the first ones to wear uniforms, the mandatory black pressed pants, white shirt, white shoes, and black shoes and black pants. They looked sharp. Even their race truck was always looked like it spit shined. These guys in the so-called glory era of model racing, they set the bar, they set the pace. And even though I think they're still mad at me for helping to protest them, it is with great honor and reverence and respect that I call up Vic Bombaci and Bobby Vitari. Gentlemen.
First of all, I'd like to thank Bruce for the fine art induction and presenting our accomplishments of our history. Got to kind of wait a minute, I'll get my composure together here. At this time, I'd like to recognize the fellow that took us from Waterford Speed Bowl north to the Oxford Plains, Maine, and as far south as Daytona International Speedway. Has many tracks along the way and received this award in recognition of our contribution as a team to the sport we all enjoy. That fellow and that person who made the V8 rock and roll, Bill Slater. That day that we hired Billy Slater was the day that we went as a team to be successful for 9 years together. And that's a record we are real proud of, Bill. Got to make sure I'm on the right subject here. From Billy, from Vic and I, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for a relationship we will always remember. Now I have another driver that I have to recognize that drove for us for 1 year at Waterford when we decided to go NASCAR at Norwood. And like Bruce announced, it was Don Collins. And Don, we want to thank you very much for your contribution to our sport and to us as a team, and winning the championship for us in 1960. Now, on behalf of Vic and myself, we want to thank the executive board of NEAR and the people that voted for us to receive this award in recognition of our team's achievements. Thank you all very much.